What's up everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. Now we all know that both Xbox and PlayStation are both third-party publishers. They pretty much have their games available on different platforms. In the case of Xbox, it's everywhere that it can be. If your calculator can run it, Xbox is pretty much leaning in very hard into its third-party, and I called it alt character. In the case of PlayStation, they're a little slower to move, but no doubt they're following Xbox. Their games are also on as many platforms as you can count. Their games are now, with Lego Horizon, I think is going to be the entry, moving to the Nintendo Switch. With MLB The Show, they have a game on Xbox, and pretty much the entire library is about to get ported to PC very soon. Marvel Spider-Man 2 is the most recent one. Now, here is how a lot of these publishers take into account exactly what you should be looking at if you're a third-party publisher. And that is simply the number of users that you can actually get your game on. Depending on how your development cycle is, I think this is very important, and every publisher has to consider this at the end of the day. So we're going to look at, say, Rockstar. So we know that Rockstar is planning its release for GTA 6 to be consoles first. Now, even though the PC market is the biggest market, why would Rockstar be doing this? There have been different ideas and even some statements actually made by a former Rockstar animator that he said that the reason they would basically put their games on the consoles first is because they knew that that was an audience that they could optimize their game for, and it was pretty much almost a guaranteed set of sales. And so now if we actually take into account the consoles that are out there for this GTA 6 game to come to, it's pretty much the series consoles and the PS5 consoles, including the Pro at the time it comes out. What I think a lot of these publishers do is they pretty much go ahead and assess how many of these consoles or how many people can buy our game the moment it launches. So thinking about the PlayStation 5 and the Series X, how they're pretty much similar hardware, it's a very streamlined approach to actually optimize for those two, or in the case of the Series S, 3, and ensure that you're able to reach almost 100 million users, because if you look at PlayStation, they have about 60 million in terms of their console sales, and Xbox has close to 30 million, so you're looking at about 90 plus million, and by the time the game comes out, somebody would have sold the remaining 10 million somewhere, and you should have about 100 million users that might have access to or will have access to GTA 6. Now, as to what the conversion rate of that is, we don't know yet. And I think this is how third-party publishers look at it overall. When I see a lot of folk talk about how Xbox is not a viable platform to develop for, it makes me laugh because those kinds of people wish that they could sell even 50 cents worth of candy to Xbox's audience. Do you know that if you sold candy worth 50 cents to every Xbox player, you'll never work a day in your life again? Do you know that? So for you to say that Xbox, platform is not worth developing for is probably one of the most economically silly things that you can ever say. It's like saying that, government spending is the greatest thing ever in excess. That's pretty much the comparison that I can come out with from the top of my head. So when you look at the folk who are making the money in the industry, the third-party publishers, this is simply their approach. And I think Xbox has taken this approach as far as it possibly can go, even to the resistance of some of the most hardcore Xbox fans or even the Xbox critics. In their minds, they think this is some kind of a clown fest, like, oh, Xbox is bringing its games to other platforms, so this must really be a bad thing. And you know what's even funny? Those journalists that write stuff like this, maybe they may not write it in those words. They also make you laugh because when you read their article, right, you make them money on advertising revenue. But guess what? The advertising revenue that they make, they have to split the advertising revenue with either Google or whoever the advertising agency is. Also, they have expenses as well. But let's just basically stick with the ad revenue, because let me tell you what's going on. They're making money, but they're also splitting a share of that money to whoever is bringing those ads their way. And what's funny is, if Xbox makes money and has to split the revenue to places like PlayStation or Steam or Epic Games, these same people come and mock Xbox for actually being in a position where they're splitting money. And you see, the crazy thing is, even PlayStation themselves they've always understood this, but now they're coming to terms with embracing it, that we really need to get out there and make money. So both companies are leaning into their third-party perspectives whenever it's needed. In the case of PlayStation, if the game actually needs it and, they can get away with it, I think that's their standard, like MLB The Show. I still think they probably came up with that idea and told MLB, hey, why don't you all go ahead and say, well, why don't you guys, get in front of this? So that's me. That's just my thinking. It may not be true, but me, I just like, oh, PlayStation, y'all are sneaky, man. So I'm just thinking in my mind, I think they probably said, well, we could get it to Xbox, but, our fans are going to freak out if we are taking a game to Xbox, or it's going to create a false expectation. So why don't y'all get ahead of it? And MLB's like, hey, heck yeah, we want money. So they got ahead of it. But that aside, that's just me saying that in tongue-in-cheek fashion. It's the most important thing that you have to pay very close attention to. So for the Xbox fans that, maybe are not too fond of a game like Indiana Jones making its way to Xbox, or maybe for those who are clowning Xbox or PlayStation, or maybe those that are clowning Xbox saying that they're bringing their games to other platforms, if only you could pretty much just see the third-party nature of Xbox and PlayStation in the sense that they're looking at the audience that are going to buy the game. Another thing, too, is even Rockstar themselves understanding that the PC market is big, but slightly more challenging to, optimize and develop, its own builds for a wide variety of hardware. They pretty much go ahead and still set the expectation that this is going to be coming down the road, in, say, maybe a few months. Maybe they want you to double dip. Maybe they do want you to truly wait. Or maybe they don't want pirates to basically eat into their profits. They have their reasons, but many other developers don't care about Rockstar. They want to get their games to PC as fast as possible. I really think that this GTA 6 might surprise Rockstar at the end of the day. I don't know what it is, but with the way gaming is right now, they probably could use a PC audience day one, because for some strange reason, I think this tower that has been built called GTA 5 is probably about to get a real shock in market pressure. A lot of people swear that GTA 6 is going to be A, B, C, D, and E, but I don't know, man. The gaming industry is really weird. I can't vouch, nor can I even say that, many games are going to make it out with their heads on their shoulders. Now, Call of Duty, seeing that its production and development is streamlined, its costs are streamlined to probably the nth dollar, I think they may be able to get, something going because they have faster iteration in a sense. They can make a mistake year A, they can fix the mistake year B, and all of that, and still bring out those games and still come out to, respectable sales. But a game that's taking at least, over a decade to make, coming out in a time like this, that's a very strange thing. To be very honest, there's not really too much room to actually not thrive at the end of the day. But Rockstar, they seem to have the perfectionist mindset. So when all this is said and done and you juxtapose these publishers and say, oh, this is probably why Xbox is taking this business approach, and this is also why PlayStation is also taking this business approach at the end of the day. They're looking at the potential player base that's going to go ahead and buy their game. Another example, and I'm going to go with the PlayStation side, is the game that is Lego Horizon Adventures. Now, I use this game as a very interesting example because this is coming from the PlayStation side. So PlayStation has looked and said, from our PS5, we have about 60 million consoles out in the wild. We've skipped the PS4, which is a very interesting decision that they did not put this game on PS4, which has over 100 million units out there, and a huge percentage of the users are still on there, but they decided that they were going to go to Switch. The Switch is a much safer bet. Yes, for those who've been saying that the Switch audience is more likely to play Lego Horizon Adventures, I agree with you. However, it's on PC too, so sure, they just thought the Switch, audience loved the game. Yeah, right. They've looked at the PC audience and they're like, this is going to be hit or miss. We're going to be able to capture a good amount of people who play these games on here, but the Nintendo platform has over 100 million units that are out there. And so that particular player base is, in their minds, viable for them to be able to find as an alternative to go ahead and try to sell the game. So what that does is it gives the game availability on the console side to over 200 million possible hardware, units that are out there. Now, we don't know if somebody bought a bunch of them and put in a box somewhere, a bunch of Nintendo Switches that have never been turned on, but at least it still gives the opportunity that when those Nintendo Switches are fired up, they still get the opportunity to see Lego Horizon Adventures in front of them. And also they look at the PC platform and they're like, wow, there how many people, play games here? And they also find the opportunity to be able to bring the game to this platform. This is what the third-party publisher looks at whenever they're trying to launch a video game and whenever they're trying to take the video game multi-plat. So PlayStation is doing this as well as Xbox. And to me, it really does say that it seems like it's a very sound business proposal. The one thing that I do have in terms of this, though, is I laugh because PlayStation makes for, or at least finds ways for developers to pay for, to get paid to lock their games down to their ecosystem, which is quite ironic because, again, they are over here moving their games to platforms that they know will have a lot more in terms of a player base that can play the game. Yet they want to, in a sense, convince other developers that being locked down to their platform is actually a smart thing to do. I think developers are going to be seeing through this very soon. The more and more PlayStation games are going to PC, the more some of them are getting successful, like Helldivers 2, having sold way more than Stellar Blade. Hey, for those of you who I've been telling y'all about the whole, conversation with Stellar Blade, but none of you want to pay attention. So hopefully expect a Helldivers 2 sales versus Stellar Blade sales video very soon so we can compare all of these. Talk to me in the comment section, folks. Appreciate you guys' time and audience, and hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.